If you're here for the how to measure ROI, which is return on investment on social media and digital, you are in the right place. Thank you so much for joining me today. Zoom, this is a Zoom platform. I did want to say I don't work for Zoom, but I just read that they are offering their free platform and their pro platform for free to nonprofits as we all struggle in this work from home new reality. So check out Zoom. And if you're here on behalf of a nonprofit, I welcome you. I want to tell you just a little bit about me, myself, and what we're going to do today. I won't keep the video on the whole time. We will go about 45 or 50 minutes. I want to make sure that I have time for questions. If you can see the chat, you can enter questions into the chat function or in the question and answer function. Either way, I'll be monitoring both of those, and I will make sure that your questions all get answered. So a little bit about me. If you've never taken a webinar with me before, then welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today. I am a mom of two. I'm a former U.S. Peace Corps volunteer. I served in the U.S. Peace Corps in Senegal, and that's where I got my start working with nonprofits and NGOs and fundraising. I've also written 2 books, one focused on storytelling and one focused on social media that actually just came out this past month. And the most important thing to know if you are a stranger to me, to my work, is that I am dedicated to helping development/marketing directors and small shops get a handle and a grip on social media, digital tools, and help you cut through and wade through everything and only use what you need and jettison the rest. So I'm on a mission to help nonprofits tell their stories in a more effective way on digital channels. But I come from a marketing development background. I've been a one-person shop. So if you're in a small organization, you're doing everything, you're wearing a million hats, I get you. I've been there. So let's get started. If you want to follow along on Twitter, if you would like to tweet, feel free. I can't see if you are on your phones or not, so totally fine with me. If you decide you have a question afterward, you want to tweet it out or send me an email and get in touch with me. Today, we're going to learn about several different things. We have a lot to cover. So what I want to focus on is where you need to focus your efforts, how to really measure success and return on investment, how to find these metrics, a brief review of popular analytics dashboards, and I have a simple spreadsheet I'm going to give you the link to. It's in Google Docs that you can use to manage your own tracking and some benchmarking reports. So we do have a lot to cover, so let's get right to it. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about my philosophy around social media because I don't come in tools first. Okay, I don't think that you need to ask the question of should we be on Facebook, should we be on TikTok, without fully understanding what you're using these tools for and who your audience is. So social media is really an absolutely unprecedented opportunity to reach a bigger audience and get real-time feedback and make connections. I love this description of it. Facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, interests, other forms of expression. Social media is about expression. It's where we go to share our worldviews. It's where we go to share who we are, our identities, what matters to us, what we're angry about, what we're happy about. It's all about self-expression. So we're not going there to necessarily promote another organization's agenda unless it aligns with our own. Social media is not an ATM. It doesn't work best when it's only used in a transactional way. It's not a money spigot. It's not one size fits all. And it's certainly not a silver bullet. And if you don't know this reference on the screen, this is from South Park. I'm a huge South Park fan. And in this particular episode, now bear with me, it's a little strange. This group of gnomes came to South Park and they were stealing underpants. And this was their business plan. Phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, who knows? Phase 3, profit. I feel like that's a very good analogy for how nonprofits use social media. Phase 1, sign up for a bunch of accounts. Phase 2, we have no idea. Phase 3, somehow profit. So that's not the philosophy that I'm coming from, and that's not the philosophy you should come from either. We need to work on the first and second pieces before we can open that, so-called money spigot, which it's not. But if you've done your work, you're certainly able to raise money and get participation on social media. I really think that it's perfect for nonprofits for several reasons. One, we can shed light on complex, difficult issues through storytelling. We can create empathy and compassion for the populations that we serve. We can advocate for our work. We can showcase our impact. We can address myths and misconceptions and stereotypes. We can educate. We can enlighten. We can fill knowledge gaps. And we can really stay top of mind and keep people inspired by and active in our work. And I think that nonprofits have a unique responsibility to take back digital to help change the world we live in for the better. We need to play the long game here. So the metrics that we're going to talk about today, I believe that we really need to focus much more on the long game, increasing transparency and trust, elevating human connections, and not simply automating everything, lifting the veil to our work, showing that we're humans, and opening up this two-way dialogue, because trust in institutions is down across the board. Trust in nonprofits, trust in government. People do not trust institutions. People are donating more and more to individual GoFundMe campaigns, and smaller dollar donors are leaving in droves. So are we getting clear results? Well, the question that you need to ask first is, are you setting clear goals? Because if you don't know where you're going, you can't figure out if you got there effectively. And you also can't create the roadmap to get there. So the very first thing we need to do is step back and do a little bit of big picture searching. So the why, the how, and the what. The problem is that organizations, especially nonprofits that I've found, they focus so much on the what. This is your services, your departments. This is the nuts and bolts where the rubber hits the road of what you do. And then the how is almost maybe your unique take on it, why you're poised to do this, your value proposition. That's sort of the how. And we don't talk enough about the why. So the key with this is, if no one is on board with your why, if I'm a potential donor and I don't understand your why and I'm not on board with it, I'm not going to care about your how or your what. It's sort of like if I don't believe in climate change and that's your why, then I'm not going to care about your how or your what. So not everyone's going to care about your why, but as long as you can articulate it in a way that draws the right people in, then you can explain your how and your what. So let's not get so focused on the how and the what before we really, really identify why we're doing this. And don't focus on tools first. I love this cartoon. Our cat adoption numbers tanked this quarter, but the important thing is our YouTube views are way up. Well, if we just focused on YouTube and creating a YouTube strategy, but we didn't actually tie it back to our goal of getting our cat adoption numbers up, having a great YouTube strategy and going viral on YouTube would not be very effective and very productive. So what are some sample goals that we can work with? Here are quite a few sample goals. I recommend for our purposes today that we only pick maybe one or two goals, because it can get overwhelming to try to create measurement spreadsheets and metrics toolkits around several different goals. So think about the overarching goal of why you want to use social media. Establish trust and credibility. That's a very common goal. Demonstrate evidence of impact. That's going to lead to more donor retention, more people getting brought into the fold. Be seen as the go-to resource. Okay, share inspiring stories. Shed light on a complex issue. Provide the community with resources. Collect, craft, and share stories that elicit an emotion so people will give. Make a compelling case for giving. Why now? Why this? You do not have to have any of these goals. Your goals could be different, or you could have a combination of these goals, but we don't want to work from all of these. I just wanted to give you some examples of nonprofit social media goals. I encourage us to stop saying that we want to use social media to raise awareness or increase visibility, because it's like Seth Godin says famously, just because I am aware that turnips are a root vegetable, that doesn't mean I'm going to cook them for dinner. So just being aware of something doesn't necessarily translate into participation or engagement or change or donations. So instead of saying that, we can be more specific. We will leverage social media to share helpful resources, explain our unique impact, and connect our donors to our mission. In this way, we will become an indispensable part of the community, so much so that even people that do not directly use our services and benefit from our programs would miss us if we were gone. So you can see that's much more not into the weeds. That's a much bigger picture, but it's also much more inspiring. And then you can almost parse that out into what you need to be doing. So the metrics that you choose, you're going to match with your goals. Now, this is not a 100% perfect science, because if your goal is to increase trust and credibility, that is not something that you necessarily can measure without doing a double-blind study or calling every single person in your area. But some metrics that you can measure in terms of numbers, maybe blog readership went up. That would show to me, if you increased your blog readership, that would show me that you are building thought leadership and you're building trust and credibility because people are trusting and going to your blog. Clearly demonstrate evidence of impact. Maybe you're increasing your email subscribers. Maybe your donor retention is going up. The local go-to resource, your website traffic is going up. More people are seeking you out and finding you around this issue. So these are just some examples of metrics that you can collect. If you want to shed light on complex issues, for example, maybe calls to hotline. Not everything actually has to be focused 100% on social media if you're actually tracking results, because what we do is very complicated. I worked at a domestic violence shelter for years, and I was the marketing director and the development director, director of marketing and communication, director of development and communications. And I was responsible, obviously, for hitting the fundraising goals, but I was also responsible for marketing the program and ensuring that we had an adequate number of calls to the hotline to make sure that we got this federal grant, but also just to make sure that we were doing outreach to people that might need our services. And that's a very different population from targeting donors. So they're very different strategies, but don't write that off if that is a metric of your success. And what about, making a compelling case for giving? That's one of our goals this year. We really want to use social media to show people that we have a timely and urgent need and we're solving a problem. And that would obviously maybe result in new donors, new Facebook fundraisers, more website traffic, and all of that kind of thing. So you have to think strategically about the metrics that you're going to match to your goals. So what are social media analytics? Social media analytics, that's the gathering of this kind of data, but it's not just gathering this for gathering sake. It's not just data for data's sake. Social media analytics help inform you and help you improve your marketing strategy. This is how you can measure your performance and really see if you're reaching your goals. The key with this is to just look for trends and always be asking, why is this happening? Why is this spike in website trafficking? And really look into, if you can see, trace the breadcrumbs around why it's happening. Have your followers grown this month? Which posts seem to perform best? That's going to help inform and guide your marketing strategy because you're going to create more of them. What times make the most sense to post? If we post at 8 a.m. on a Thursday, does that work better than posting at 9 p.m. on a Saturday? Really getting strategic and looking at what you've been doing so you can improve what you will be doing in the future. Google Analytics is a great tool to not only measure what you're doing on your website, and we're going to actually go into the back end of this. It's to measure where your traffic is coming from and if people are actually coming to your website from social media channels, where are they coming from? So it's a completely free resource, and it's designed to track where people are coming from, what they're clicking on, where they're spending time. The key is to set it up correctly. So you can set it up very easily in just 3 steps. And now this is the back end of mine, and it will tell you active users. It will tell you where people come from. So 18.88% of your site traffic is from the referral channel. This is my dashboard. You can see on the left-hand side that there are a lot of ways to look at Google Analytics and a lot of things that you can pick, but you don't have to pick all of them. I always say less is more. Focus on your individual goals and focus on what you're trying to achieve, and focus on the information that you're going to actually use. Because if you're not going to use this information, then why bother tracking it, and why bother cluttering up your desktop and your dashboard and cluttering up your brain with all this needless information? So it's going to show you the pages that your users visit. It's going to show you your top devices, which could actually help inform your campaigns. It will show you the referrals, your top referrals. So that is where, is it in acquisition or is it audience? Let's see, because this changes pretty frequently. You can see social and network referrals. So where are people coming from? I know when I used to manage social media accounts for nonprofits, I would always be really shocked to learn where people came from. And one of my clients actually found that their biggest referral was Pinterest. So we decided to double down on Pinterest. All of this is to say, you don't want to track this just for tracking it. You want to track it so that it can help inform your efforts and what you're doing. So some important metrics that you can look at: pages per visit, average visit duration. You know, what's your bounce rate? That means people that just immediately come to your website and leave. And your most viewed pages, your most popular pages, that's going to help inform your strategy. And then an advanced tactic, I'm not going to go too much into this, but there is a way that you can actually track if someone came from Facebook and made a donation, and it's called a conversion goal. You can also track if someone came from Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and if they clicked on a link and then they actually downloaded something, or they signed up, or they registered. So you would set that up in your goal, your conversion goals section in the admin section of Google Analytics. It is easy to do. It's just a little in the weeds for us today. But if you're really concerned, saying, wow, we're going to run a campaign on Twitter, I do want to know how many people actually sign up, there is a way that you can track conversions, because website traffic is not going to help you a lot at the end of the day. You can drive a ton of website traffic, but are people actually signing up and converting or making a donation, registering for an event? So it's very easy. You get your free Google Analytics, account, which you get from Google for Nonprofits, and it's completely free. It'll give you a whole suite of tools. You navigate to the desired view and you click goals and you click new goal. It takes a little while to set up, but it's well worth it. Some ways that you can use Google Analytics: you can actually use it to create these benchmarks for yourself. So in the past, you know, how many visits to your online donation page do you need? So for every 100 people, one person makes a donation. I'm making that up. So you can actually benchmark yourself, and then you can focus on the channels that are driving referrals and driving website traffic, and see, oh man, we spent so much time on LinkedIn last quarter, but it really didn't get that much traffic. So maybe we should spend more time on Twitter, which looks like it's driving a lot of traffic. This is just all to help you be more strategic and more intentional in what you're doing. All right, so Facebook Insights. If you are active on Facebook and you are the manager of your Facebook page, I'm going to show you how to go into Facebook Insights. You go to these little dots. You do have to be logged in. It does have to be your Facebook page. View Insights. This is only for business pages. And then this is your page summary. And what I would recommend doing is looking at trends over the last few months so that you can then benchmark yourself, because you don't want to say, oh, we are going to increase engagement by 300%, but then you find the average engagement of your post is like 2%. So I can easily go in here and see what are my highest performing posts. They're always going to be posts that don't lead out to another website, because we know Facebook does not play nicely with other websites. It doesn't want outside traffic. And it's going to show you the type. Was it a photo? Was it a status update? Was it a link? Was it a video? Was it a shared video? So it will show you, so you can kind of see what is working. This video got a lot more reach and a lot of engagement because it was a live video. So that's always going to be the case. But then you can kind of see trends. What I recommend doing if you have a Facebook ad strategy, don't boost things that nobody wants to see. So literally, I don't know, this one, Happy Freebie Friday, it got like 2 people engaged with it. I wouldn't boost that. I would boost something like Countdown to Cause Camp. I would boost something like my post that I just posted today. You want to boost things that are getting a lot of engagement and kind of push them over the edge. So that's what I recommend doing. There's a lot of things that you can look at in this back end. You can actually look at the people that are in your demographic, your followers, where are they from? You know, are they predominantly women? Are they 35 to 44? That's probably not shocking to anybody. All of this kind of stuff. What actions on the page are they taking? If you're running a lot of ads, you can click on ads. There's a lot to go through here. You can actually look at your stories. If you're sharing stories on your page, your groups, are they growing? If you're taking orders, which I don't think any of us are, and your events. If you are running events, I'm not sure. I don't think I'm running any events right now. A couple of events I was running were completely canceled, so that doesn't count. But you can check on your events and see on the back end what's happening there. So I recommend looking at your page summary, your 5 most recent posts, seeing what was popular, seeing what people like. Your pages to watch, that's just your, I don't want to say competitors, but other people in your space that are doing similar things that you might want to see what they're doing. Your groups, and then learn about your followers. There's a lot of ways to learn about your followers. Now, Instagram Insights, I can't show you the back end because actually I could try to set up my phone, but I'm not going to mirror my phone to my computer. But you can only access Instagram Insights if you are on your phone. You can't, there's no way to do it via desktop unless you're using a third-party tool. And we'll talk about some third-party tools. But in Instagram Insights, if you have an Instagram business profile, which is free, and you should have one if you're managing Instagram for your nonprofit, it's just like a Facebook page. Nothing changes. You don't lose any followers. You don't lose any engagement. It just means that you get access to these different metrics and insights, and you get access to Instagram ads, and you get access to being able to put links and ads in stories and the donate button. And there's all sorts of great reasons to sign up for a business account. But I would recommend picking maybe a handful of these. You don't have to analyze everything, just what makes sense and what's going to ensure that you're kind of moving forward towards your goals. Okay, Twitter analytics have actually changed a lot in the past, just in the past month. I'm going to show you the back end of my Twitter analytics, but they don't let you get a lot of information on your audience, unfortunately. They removed that, but your account home is your report card. It's going to give you the high level stats, and then your tweet activity dashboard. What I like is that they do it by month. So that's my March summary. This is my February summary. And so you can easily get a high level view of, you know, your most popular tweets, your tweet highlights, your top follower. That's actually pretty cool. So there are many paid platforms you can use to get deeper insights, but I'm trying to show you some free and low cost ones you can just use on your own and measure what you're doing really quickly. You would have to put these in a spreadsheet or print this out and figure out, like, is it growing? What kind of tweets are working best? are my impressions growing? Are my followers growing? Oh, and I just hit 16, which is awesome. And then your top mention, like, then you want to probably build relationships with the people that are mentioning you that are in your top mentions, because that makes a lot of sense. It just seems to me that it's going to get you more bang for your buck where it's authentic. It'll just give you a lot of insight into your followers. YouTube. Now, if you're on YouTube, YouTube insights can be really, really interesting. I don't really have a dedicated YouTube strategy because I am just one person. So I can't really focus on every single channel that's possible. But YouTube is the #2 search engine owned by the #1 search engine. And it's certainly a place that if you have video, you definitely need to be paying attention to. But you can look at your views, your watch time. I always think that, I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube. I just if I have a video, I put it up. If I do a webinar, I usually put it up on YouTube. And I don't really spend a heck of a lot of time on YouTube. But as long as my numbers are all going up, that's what matters. I use this amazing free plugin. It's called TubeBuddy. It's right up here. So there are paid features for TubeBuddy, but I only use the free version. My favorite thing about TubeBuddy is when it's called TubeBuddy. Once you download it, it's going to even give you more analytics than YouTube, and it's going to actually, their dashboard, I think it's a little easier to use. And then it lets you explore keywords, because YouTube is a search engine. So YouTube, people do not go to YouTube to find things they already know. We don't go to YouTube to connect with friends and family. We don't go to YouTube to connect with coworkers and share videos of our vacation. We go to YouTube to find answers to things. We go to YouTube to find how to tie a tie. I just went on there, how to cook chicken quesadilla. Like, that's what we go to YouTube for. You want to rank for certain keywords. So for me, how to start a Facebook fundraiser. I want to see, is this something that I should create a video around? And then this says very good. It's not too competitive. It has enough search volume to make it worth targeting. So for you, it might be, this is just an example. I would bet this is not a good one because it's probably very competitive. So when TubeBuddy is going to tell you this keyword is searched very often, it's bad to target because it's extremely competitive and hard to rank for. So we do have to remember that each of these channels are used in entirely different ways and they have strengths and weaknesses. But with YouTube, measuring, are you getting website traffic from YouTube? Are you getting views? Are people actually interacting with you? Are they leaving comments? But whatever it is you're trying to achieve with YouTube, that's what you should be measuring. So some popular analytics dashboards, ones that I really like that are completely free for up to maybe 1 or 2 accounts. If you have multiple accounts that you use, then I wouldn't recommend, I wouldn't recommend trying to use Hootsuite. I would recommend something more robust like a Sprout Social or a HubSpot. But these are the top free and paid social media analytics tools for marketers. Now, Buffer, I want to show you what Buffer looks like on the back end. This is also a scheduling tool. So I use it to schedule to LinkedIn and Twitter and occasionally to my Facebook group that I belong to. And you just go into Analyze. And then you go into, I thought I had the trial, but I don't have the trial. But you can look at what is performing the best, and you can look at where, what is happening with each individual tweet and each individual post. But it's really only free for up to 3 accounts. And I use a different method for my social media platform. But if you're using Buffer, it's definitely worth trying so you can keep everything in one place, your scheduling and your analytics. Sprout Social is the same thing. You can use that for scheduling. You can use that for analytics. So I think most people use some of these platforms for both things, scheduling and analytics. And then Buffer actually has this awesome resource, 27 free and paid social media analytics tools, which I really like. Zoho Social, Sendable, Keyhole, Rival IQ. You could really go down into the weeds. Social Report. There are so many. So we're just going to look at these three. The features that I like about Buffer Analyze is that you get actually analytics on your Instagram stories, which is pretty cool. You can get that, of course, within the Instagram analytics platform. It also gives you strategy recommendations, like you should post at this time, you should post more photos, you should post more video. And then the reporting is great because that's what you can print out and bring to your supervisor, bring to your staff meeting and say, this is what we've been doing. You can use it and link it up to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You get all of these features for free for 14 days. And then it's going to be, depending on what you want, $35 or $50 a month to use Buffer Analytics. Sprout Social is probably my favorite place to aggregate multiple platforms, just because it's so robust and it's worth the price if you are responsible for running these reports for multiple platforms. If you're just running it for one or two, you can go inside to the individual platforms and do it. And I'm going to show you a spreadsheet. So this helps you really get a group report and see which ones are performing best. You can get all features free for 30 days, and then it has some paid options. It also has a nonprofit feature. Hootsuite is really popular as well. I'm not the biggest fan of Hootsuite's reporting, because when I compared it to just like taking my own reporting from Twitter Analytics, it didn't match up exactly. So I haven't quite figured out the bug in that. It might just be me. But I use Hootsuite for scheduling and management. I don't really use it for analytics. But if you're using Hootsuite, it could be a good option for you. And if you have multiple social media channels that you're managing, it could be a good option. Now, if you go to this bit.ly address, this is going to be my spreadsheet that I'm going to give you. So you're going to have to save it and click on File and make a copy if you want to save it to fill out yourself. But this is what I use with clients to start with. And then we just cut and paste. Like, we don't have to do all of this. You don't have to measure all of these website statistics. These are just what I recommend analyzing over time. That's probably the key element, is that you can't just say, I'm going to measure these analytics one time and never measure them again. Or I'm going to measure them for 2 months and then I think I've got a handle on things. No, because as we know, things like world events, all sorts of things can impact our website traffic, our social referrals, and all of that. So we want to look at trends over time and fully make sure we're analyzing. I think 6 months. We need to look. We can't really look for trends until we have been measuring our page views, online donations, homepage views, most popular site content. We can't really see any trends until we have been measuring things for 6 months. This is where you would put your social referrals to the website. You can, of course, when you have this on your own to edit, you can insert, you can delete, you can take things out however you want to adapt it. You can also just cut and paste the whole thing, put it in Excel if you prefer that. I just put Facebook Insights, Twitter Analytics, and YouTube. Number of followers, I'm so torn on that because I do think it's a good measure to ensure that you're always growing. But I don't have a good metric for you because every organization is different, and some organizations post once a week, some organizations post 3 times a day, some organizations spend money on Facebook ads, some don't. So I can't tell you, oh, your account should be growing this much every month. There's just no way to say that to you. And if someone says that to you, they're wrong, because how are they supposed to know based on all of these other factors? The key is to, like I said, measure. We had 100 followers at the end of March. Then we had 200 at the end of April. Then we had 300 at the end. So you can see, oh, it's growing 100 every month, or it's growing exponentially. So these are, number of followers is not my favorite metric, but I do think it shows the health and the effort of the organization. because the more effort you put in and the more consistent you are with posting, with showing up consistently, with sharing content that your audience likes, with responding to comments, interacting, the more consistent that you are, the more your followers and engagement are going to grow. I mean, it's just like exercise. The more you do it and the more intentional you are with it. So you can't just go to the gym for 5 years and keep using the same weights and doing the same routine, because it won't get you the results. You have to constantly be tweaking it and improving it. But if you do go consistently and you're intentional, then it's going to get you more of an idea of the results that you want. So consistency is imperative for success in social media, but also for success in analyzing what you're doing in your metrics. So how do you use all of these metrics? Some ways that I recommend: learning about your followers. When are they online? Do they like live video? Do they like photos? Do they respond to your post if you post Tuesday at 8 p.m.? What age group are they? Are they predominantly women? Are they predominantly men? Learn more about your followers and you'll be able to craft the kind of content that's going to resonate with them. And then learn more about when they're using things. Learn more about types of content. And then you can change up your posting day and time. There's no single best time to post. And any of those blog posts that say, oh, this is the best time to post, you have to be posting now, there's no single best time. If you're targeting teachers, you are not going to be posting between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern, right? If you're on the East Coast. Not to mention we're all on different time zones. We're in a different time zone. It's 3:37 where I am right now. Then you can improve your content, continually tweak based on your top performing posts. You might be asking yourself, how do I know if I should adopt a new social media platform? How can I evaluate if this shiny new tool is right for me, or if I should even be on a platform that I've been using for years but is not getting me results? So I have a checklist and some questions for you. When your board member comes to you and says, we should be on Pinterest, we should be on TikTok, you have to ask these questions. Is our target audience on this platform? And your target audience is based on your goals. Are you trying to reach young professionals? Then maybe you should be on LinkedIn. Then yes. Are you trying to reach your baby boomer donors? Then TikTok is probably not the right place for you. So think about your target audience first. Can you add value on this platform? Or are you just going to be cutting and pasting and automating? Is it just going to be another place that you're kind of slapping up a post haphazardly? Or are you really going to add value? And when I say add value, I mean adding value to your audience. Can you consistently create and share content that's designed for this specific channel? Stuff that is not simply automated. That's huge, because each channel is its own entity, its own culture, its own language and etiquette, best practices. What works on Instagram does not necessarily work on Facebook. Do you have the internal capacity and resources to manage this channel? And by manage, I don't mean post and run. I don't mean simply throw something up and then never visit the site again. When you open the can of worms on a social media platform, you have to be able to answer questions, to address DMs, direct messages, if there's negativity, then address negativity and address people that are asking and engaging. It's a two-way street here. It's a two-way street. It's not just a billboard or a magazine ad where we get to put up promotions and then people are automatically going to pay attention to our promotions. That's definitely not the way it works. So do we have the time to learn the unique language and best practices of a new platform? We have to be real here. It takes time. It takes time to learn what works and to learn the unique language. I do an entire 90-minute webinar on Instagram stories alone because they are so unique and there are so many strategies that you need to employ to really succeed. You can't just cut and paste what you've always done onto these new platforms. It's not going to work. And then, of course, this is what we're talking about today. Can you analyze your work on this platform and really monitor analytics and insights in order to improve what you're doing. Always be improving. Now, some industry benchmarks for you, because this is a question that I get a lot. Now, don't really, I don't really believe in benchmark reports. I love M&R. I think they're fantastic, but I think that we are so unique. Nonprofits are so unique. There's this tiny little nonprofit with a 20-hour-a-week executive director. And then there's, Harvard University or Massachusetts General Hospital or St. Jude. And just how can we possibly benchmark ourselves against what other nonprofits are doing? So, oh, my daughter's school is calling me, but okay. So what I recommend doing is taking these benchmarks with a grain of salt, and also always going in and answering these surveys. But with this one, they do a little bit of segmenting. They do it by sector. So, it's international, or it's cultural, and then, your online revenue, and then how did you do against other people in your sector. So I don't know. I mean, to me, I think you should be benchmarking against other organizations that are similar size, similar budget, all that kind of thing. But still, good benchmarking reports here. The Digital Outlook report, that's a fantastic one. I recommend reading these reports, looking at what things people are doing, taking these, like I said, with a grain of salt. You do have to sign up for all of these different reports to get the PDF sent to you. Don't spend a lot of time comparing yourself to other organizations, especially if they're larger organizations and you are very, very small organizations. This Blackbaud report is actually really pretty good, but understanding where you fit in the global, in the global state of the world can be pretty effective. Oh, I see a question. Can you go back over how to view the analytics on Facebook? Yes, definitely. Let's go back, to this. So for Facebook, you want to go to your page. This is my page. And you want to, I know they hide it now because it used to be up at the top. So as you can see, there's 10,000 billion things happening. You go to right under your cover photo. You can see my cover photo is right here. And see where it says liked, following, and share. It's these three little dots. And then you go to view insights. They are kind of trying to, hide it from us a little bit. And there's, you can export the data and put it in a spreadsheet, but I'm not sure that that's going to make it easier to look at. I don't personally share stories on my page. I share stories on my Instagram account, and I share them on my personal Facebook. So that's why that's not there. I just know that if I see green arrows, I just like to see green arrows, engagement, as long as engagement's up, responsiveness or post reach, as long as that's up a little bit and not plummeting. But I always take things with a grain of salt on this page. What I do analyze are my top 5 or my 5 most recent posts, and I see which one I could maybe throw a little bit of money behind in order to tip it over the edge. So like I said before, you don't want to be promoting things that your audience has told you, oh, we're not really interested in this. And that's the same on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You want to use your insights to see where you want to put your money behind if you are paying for ads. And then of course, it's going to give you your suggested pages to watch, which allegedly are like your competitors. So for nonprofits, it's going to be other people in your space. It won't be other people in your area, but competition in nonprofit world, I don't think I believe in it. I actually don't think I believe in competition in general. I think if you're good enough, you're not going to have any competitors, and your audience, of course, you're competing with other things in their life like medical bills and mortgages. But if you are creating that shared identity with your audience and making them feel inspired, and giving them the content that they want and need, I think that's the best strategy for all involved. All right. I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions. I can go over anything that I reviewed today. If you want to see more social media analytics platforms, if you want to see how to go about the back end of any of these, make sure you're typing. This is your chance to ask me anything. Make sure you type it into the chat or the questions. I'm also very open to taking questions via email. I'm Julia at jcsocialmarketing.com. I'm happy to look at what you did with the spreadsheet and, take a look at that. And if you want those kind of analytics going forward. So I don't see any questions, but I think I threw a lot of information at you, and I really hope that it was helpful. Let me see if I can go back to this. One thing I will say with this is that it might be helpful to show this to other members of your team if you do have other members, because then they will see the work that's involved in social media. So this is an awesome way to show up at the staff meeting and say, hi, everybody. This is what we did last month, and this is what we've been doing for 3 months. And I've been noticing these trends, and this is maybe where I need your help. Like, I need your help in increasing our number of Facebook followers, because I've been analyzing the data and I see that that is an area that we need to ramp up a little bit. Or you can see, oh, we really need to ramp up the Twitter referrals to our website. But talking to your team or your supervisor, your board, and showing them the work that's involved. I think oftentimes when people see the spreadsheet, they say, wow, I did not even know you were managing all of those accounts. I didn't know that you were responsible for all of that content. And I didn't know that it was creating these awesome results, like sending all of these online donations, or sending all of this blog traffic, sending all of this website traffic. I didn't even know that. Yeah, the link to the spreadsheet is on the slides. I'm going to have to remember. I think it's bit.ly. Hold on. I will go back to it because I don't want to get bit.ly wrong. Nonprofit metrics. So you have to add it in exactly like this, no caps. Let me copy it and put it into the chat for you. And then you want to make a copy of it and make sure that you are, making a copy and saving it, because you won't be able to edit this one. There, I just put the link, not the bit.ly link. And rewatch the recording. I'm going to send the link to the slides, to the spreadsheet, and I will send the link to the recording once it's all converted on Zoom. I will send it to the foundation, and they will send it out for you. Okay, well, I don't see any questions, so let me just type my email in again. Feel free to email me at julia@jcsocialmarketing.com. And I know that, it's probably a busy day for most of you, and I appreciate you taking the time to get on the webinar, and I look forward to seeing you on another one. And definitely you'll get the recording, the slides, the spreadsheet, some other resources, and I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. So take care, everyone.